Revelation is unearned knowledge. Revelation can come in two ways. One is auto revelation, which is something that happens amongst yourself, like if the yogis or gurus were sitting meditating and they get a blast of light, or even your prophets from the days of old when the divine needed them to know certain various information, and they put it down in their various holy books and scriptures and whatnot. But then there's epochal revelation, which is something for the whole entire planet, regardless of where your status is or spiritual. Jesus was one of them. Jesus was the fourth of the epochal revelation. The other three were living beings as well. This is the fifth. The fifth is in book form, and it is called the Urantia book. This is hands down the most advanced information that you will possibly receive on this planet. There's nothing, absolutely nothing that can compare to it. You can comb every single human idea, every YouTube video, but not to say that those people haven't had their own auto revelations and have written them down in their books or put them in their words or speeches on YouTube or whatever. So it's not to say that nobody knows anything, okay? But this is the most comprehensive accumulation of all revelation by advanced beings, and there's no alteration to it. So it was exactly as it is, whereas the Bible got changed and penned, and there's 3 different versions and everything like that. This is every single word. You can take this as an exact revelation, the way that it's supposed to be. There's nothing that you need to cherry pick. There is nothing that was inputted by any other thing. It all fits. And when you really investigate and you study this book for a very long time, you will see that it all fits. Even if at first something might not agree with what your current worldview is, put that on the back burner, think about it, contemplate it, and then you'll come back to it. And you'll say, okay, yeah, I just wasn't ready for that one. So let's see what they have to say about the future. This is Advanced Celestial Beings. I believe this is a midwayer, which is halfway in between a human and a seraphim. So what are they saying about the future? Because we have a lot of stuff going on in the world now, and maybe many Bible prophecy people are either saying, Trump is the next coming of Jesus, and others are saying that he's the Antichrist, and it feels very end times-ish. But remember, it's to be the end of the world system of things. It's not to be the end time. It's just that old guard is changing. People are waking up and realizing and learning this is the last throes of their thing. But it could take 1,000 years, as it points out in one part of the book, for things to settle down and start to gear towards change here. So I would not hold your breath whatsoever, folks. You're going to be doing yourself an anxious disservice if you're thinking that there's going to be any sort of change whatsoever. We could have another 400 or 500 years, 600 years of the same old imbalanced, control-dominated bullshit that we're experiencing right now, how the very few have sold their souls to control this world, and they are and they're doing just that at the price of everybody else's peace and well-being. So, let's see. The future. Christianity has indeed done a great service for this world. So we can't just kick those rungs out. They point out in a different part of the book that happens often when people, we can't just kick the rungs out of a Buddha, even though he didn't have every single idea exactly as it is and spelled out in the 5th epochal revelation, and even the Urantia book, they say, will be updated and upgraded, because revelation is never definitive, folks. It's a beautiful unfolding of truth that happens in the universe and comes from God. Christianity has indeed done a great service for the world, but what is now most needed is Jesus. So forget Christianity. Hey, that's great. You did great. Thanks for hoisting us through those ages and keeping that message encapsulated in that seed. But we're done with you now, okay? You're too encumbered. Let's just go right to the source here. And any Christian should read that and say, yeah, well, geez, why wouldn't we want to just be talking about the source? Hey guys, we've been going off on wild hair's tangents all over the place. Let's return it to here. The world needs to see Jesus living again on earth in the experience of spirit-born mortals. That's you, that's me, that's anybody who decides. And you don't need to be perfect, because remember, this is a step-by-step, moment-by-moment journey. So someday you might step off of the path. Some moment you might step off of the path. Oh, I made a mistake. Oh, I can look back and say I made a mistake here. But it's about stepping back on, because you could brush that negative thing off. The past is dead, remember. The future is imaginary. And all we have is the eternal now moment. But what is contained in the eternal now moment is the past and the future. Remember, it's all is contained in that eternal now. But the pure past is dead. That evil dies away. That doesn't exist. Only the good that is needed to be carried on comes with those experiences. So, okay, so you can be this, folks, regardless of what you have done in the past or what you might even do today. And maybe you won't even ever do anything tomorrow. That's going to, soil this light temporarily in a moment. It doesn't matter who you are, where you were born, or how you, anything like that, okay? Now, let's see. What is that? Reveal the Master to all men. Capital M. It is futile to talk about a revival of primitive Christianity. You must go forward. See, there's no more of that. Go forward from where you find yourselves. Modern culture must become spiritually baptized with a new revelation of Jesus' life. Now, and illuminated with a new understanding of his gospel of eternal salvation. See, that's why we can say the Urantia book is not definitive. It's using even language that are going to turn people off. It'll say baptized. That's going to turn a lot of people off. But you can't take away Jesus, though. I mean, you can, if you want, you can say a different name or something like that. But why? What's the point? Everybody knows that name. You can't say, well, Jesus is going to turn people off, so we have to remove that. No. That's the part that you can't remove, okay? Because that was the fourth apocalyptic revelation, man and God in one, who revealed God to man as a loving father, and all brothers and sisters of that God are all the humans. I mean, sons and daughters. You get what I'm saying? So you can't remove that, okay? Because also, that man had a life. He had to do things, and they historically know this. This is not like just, people. He had to have a life. He had to talk with people. He had to deal with this beggar that came up with him, and then now these people want to kill him, blah, 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 blah. So it's not just like a book in the fact that this is just, a book tightly shut as a block of wood type of thing. The fact that he had this exemplary life, and that we could say, hey, I have to deal with these taxes and stuff like that. Money, what did he say about money? Whose picture is that on the coin when they were all worried about the money? And they said, well, that's Caesar's picture. And he said, rend to Caesar that which is Caesar's. It didn't even concern him, when they were paying taxes. He said, you can give it all up. This is meaningless. This is meaningless. That was just the message over. Not meaningless as in like, hey, let's just, throw our lives away or jump off a cliff or something like that. As in, it's relatively meaningless, okay? Kindergarten was still meaningful in your life, and you still would have your kid go to kindergarten, but at the end of the day, it's just kindergarten, right? Modern culture must become spiritually baptized, okay? And when Jesus become thus lifted up, so, we could change those words, whatever, to make them more approachable to people that are just automatically rejecting anything to do with, gospel. If they hear the word gospel, it sounds too much like Christianity, so they're just going to reject it. But all that is like basically his mission statement. Eternal salvation through that faith of God. It's not just faith because you have to, because you're a slave or puppet. No, that grants you an eternity of life. You can choose to accept that or deny it. When Jesus becomes thus lifted up, he will draw all men to himself. Jesus' disciples should be more than conquerors, even overflowing sources of inspiration and enhanced living to all men. See, okay, this is what you want to be, You remember, it's these tiny little exchanges that this revealing of the gospel of Jesus, like for instance, you're at work. Somebody eats your lunch in the thing, and you say, hey, yeah, well, what can we do, or whatever. You don't have an adult tantrum over it. then people are going to say, geez, that person there, they always have this calm, collected attitude, yet they're very still decisive. They're not a wishy-washy person. Jesus wasn't wishy-washy. He made these clear-cut choices. This is what we're going to do. This is right. I'm not backing down. But, you know, if somebody, he understood. It's that awareness. Awareness is queen to revelation. Religion is only an exalted humanism, folks, until it is made divine by the discovery of the reality of the presence of God in personal experience. I mean, this is genius. There's no other philosopher, no other religionist that's making these statements, folks, and this is why you can know that this is a revelation. Let's look at that one again, because it's brilliant. Religion is only an exalted humanism. Now, what's humanism? Well, we want to do good for others. And then you can exalt that, and you can say, well, we're also doing it, you know, because it's our religious tradition, or we have the best one. There's exalted doesn't mean divine, in other words, okay? Now, but when you really discover the presence of God as a reality, first as a faith fact, but then through that as a known reality, then you can discover in the personal experience the beauty and sublimity. But anyways, then religion takes on a whole new life, okay? Because we're actually dealing with reality. People are trying to think about, oh, geez, what's Russia doing? What's China doing? What's the United States? Blah, 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 blah. Who's in cahoots with who, according to, you know, what is it? The secret societies, your elite, blah, blah, blah. What are they doing? Everything like that. And then there's a good line that says, let them play their game and we'll play ours. But I want to cross that line right off. We'll let them play their game, but we're not playing a game. We're dealing with reality. Evil is only relatively real. It's a shadowy understanding that we have to deal with and put up with. But when we change our hearts, we are gearing towards ascension. The ascension plan is your reality in the universe. Beyond this life, I'll say this to you in the next life too. I'm so assured of it because of my own personal experiences, and I know of where I speak only on that small fragment of reality. Okay, that it is a divine ascension, that we have the capability, that we do have God within, and it will lead us to the God without, the central of the universe. I could say that assuredly, but that's it. Okay, I don't know, like I can't quote this book and this and that. So anyways, but that small fragment, that might be all we need to know, and then the rest will come to us. The beauty and sublimity, the humanity and divinity, the simplicity and uniqueness of Jesus' life. Well, there you go. It's a simple statement of Jesus' life on earth presents such a striking and appealing picture of man saving and God revealing that the theologians and philosophers of all time should be effectively restrained from daring to form creeds or create theological systems of spiritual bondage out of such a transcendental bestowal of God in the form of man. It's like there's a Buddhist thing, you know, about finger pointing to the moon. I forget exactly how it goes, but it's like as soon as you start to say you're pointing to the moon, you've already lessened the experience, so to speak. As soon as you start to add something to this, then you're already lessening the simple spiritual truth about the son and daughtership, and the brother and sisterhood, and that, you know, faith eternal. In Jesus, the universe produced a mortal man in whom the spirit of love triumphed over the material handicaps of time. That could be look at material handicaps of time. It could be something like what world system you were born in. Oh, well, we were born into an evil, corrupt one through and through, and it still is to that day, getting more and more and more. We're going more and more backwards into corruption every single day. And unless somebody's talking about this, or unless somebody's talking about redistributing the wealth, the love that goes along with it, the greatest good for all, love, love, love. If that's their central thing, then you know that they're an enlightened sage. And it could be you. Over the material handicaps of time and overcame the fact of physical origin. So let's see, what else? Oh, geez, I got fired at work. So that's a material handicap. Well, go for this. The spirit of love, okay? That can triumph over that, no matter what it is. It's just a material handicap. Ever bear in mind, God and men need each other. They are mutually necessary to the full and final attainment of the eternal personality, or else we wouldn't have this experience. What is the eternal personality? Divine destiny of universe finality, okay? And what is that? It's good, it's beautiful, it's true, it's enjoyable, it's all of those positive words. There's zero negativity in there. So it's a bestowal of love. Geez, I want other beings to enjoy this journey as we gear towards finality. The kingdom of God is within you. It was probably the greatest pronouncement. Now, this is one, I'll just give you a little bit of insight on this. Jesus ever made. Folks, the kingdom of God is within you was probably the greatest pronouncement Jesus ever made. So you never have to go to church again for the rest of your entire life. Unless you want to, that's fine. Enjoy, talk, whatever. But it's not necessary. You don't have to pray to anybody. You don't have to do a commandment. Or, I'm sorry, what are they? Like, first I do my communion, then I do my confirmation. I forget what they're called, not commandments, but next to the declaration that his Father is a living and loving spirit. Okay, if somebody really knew this, they wouldn't have to do the rituals involved and making sure my house is kosher, so I'm going to clean everything with bleach. Oh, but wait, bleach isn't kosher. Oh no, I'm getting OCD over this. You can just go to this. The kingdom of God is within you. So you don't need to do something in order to enter that kingdom. You just have to not reject it. You have to let it play out. It's a spiritual drawing power. Keep that in mind. Remember, the pace belongs to you. So you can't just sit back and, I don't know, eat potato chips and lay on the couch and think that you're going to advance. You'll stagnate. You won't destroy yourself in the universe through those things. So that's a great uplifting thing. You could do that for a millennium if you want. And you're not going to destroy that. But eventually you're going to want to get on with it. Delay is not avoidance. It is merely delay. And you're going to have to face it at some point. So why not do it now? Why not face these earthly temptations and things like that, whether they be food that causes heart disease, your tobacco that causes cancers and things. Not godly by any means. Not even going to be something that is an aspect of the higher worlds. And no God is going to snap his finger and force you to change that. That is, remember, we wouldn't want it that way. You might have a more favorable world in which to tackle these sort of habits and things like that, rather than this backwards one, which they say we have a very drastic, on this planet, we have a very drastic tug of war between the material and the spiritual. That's not characteristics of other planets, even though they have they still have challenges. Mutual knowledge, kingdom's God is within you. Okay. Next to the declaration that his Father is living and loving spirit. Okay, so just that God is existential. God is a reality of loving spirit, not a fearful one. Okay, so there you go. And remember, these two things, folks, is really all you have to be concerned with on a spiritual path, and they will culminate in the exact way that you need to, the best way for your own choosing, desire, your own personal aspect of that path. And one is the God within, and the other is the God without. But since this is a fragment of this one, at the center of all things, they're so united, So even if God the Father is too much for somebody to try to contemplate, or how am I supposed to pray, or this and that, go to the thought adjuster. That's what they call the God that's within you. Go to that. Think about, I'm walking around with a fragment of deity and divinity within me every single step of the day. I can't fail. There's no such thing as death. There's a relative human death, but there's no such thing as non-existence for you. And even if you haven't fused with that thing, which is something that requires like a real level of self-mastery in order to do, the adjuster knows your intent. It's your intention, and it regards it as a fact that you will fuse. When it realizes this person's not going to throw this away, So now treats it as that, but it wants the process to continue, and it wants to move along because it delights in when there's actually like this fusion of spirit and soul. In winning souls for the master, it is not the first mile of compulsion, duty, or convention that will transform man and his world, but rather the second mile of free service. This is the examples. Liberty-loving devotion that betokens the Jesusonian, reaching forth to grasp his brother in love and sweep him on under spiritual guidance toward the higher and divine goal of mortal existence. Beautiful words. Christianity even now willingly goes the first mile, but mankind languishes and stumbles along in moral darkness because there are so few genuine second milers. Okay? They're looking at their leaders, and this guy's flying around in a billionaire jet. We all know those stories about these preachers and sex scandals and this and that. And they're not second milers by any means. So few profess, and not even just those, but even just the average people in the congregation still participating in the animal slaughter and things like that. What are they revealing to any? They're revealing. If somebody's a higher advanced person, that's maybe not even be a godly person, but maybe just understands ethics and that sort of thing. Maybe they're, veganism is popular in India and maybe even Tibet. I'm not sure, vegetarianism or stuff. In various, it's popular everywhere, but whatever. There's certain religions that have that as their understanding, but they still don't have a God as their understanding, okay? So like something like Buddhism. If they're going to have some Christian guy with the bucket of chicken wings and shooting the guns trying to tell them that they need to find God, they're going to reject that because they're already more advanced than that. In fact, the East is more advanced than the Western when it comes to spirituality. Even though they don't have God, they already have the self-mastery thing. So once they just have that one little revelation, if they can just get over that one little, their religious handicap, they're going to be, boom, skyrocketing right off. They won't have to deal with trying to think that, the person trying to preach to them about eating chicken wings as a path towards God and firing off your gun is what God wanted. And, voting Republican is what God wanted. Or God doesn't, politics is not, that's not the realm. Human politics is not the realm of deity and divinity. You can participate it and stuff like that, but it's not, they shouldn't be tied into each other. Except if there was a politician who truly was professing these things, okay? Then it's not the fact of his politics professing, it's the fact that he understands it personally. So that's what this is trying to get across. You're doing it personally. You're the example, so to speak. And what you do with your life is just the way that you're going, the avenue or channel that you're going to show where you're at with your own spiritual ascension. Brotherhood should thrill all who believe in him. Okay, we'll end it here, but it says there's so few second milers, right? Because they're just not there yet, folks. They really have to have that change of heart and start truly walking that path about a living truth. And that's why even Jesus was only the fourth apocalyptic revelation, folks. You have to take it even beyond where he was at, okay? And he would want you to, because he says the truth is living. So it is, well, Jesus ate this or did that, blah, blah, blah. Well, he was a first century Jew with a first century mind. That's his humanity. That's where his humanity was at. We have to advance our humanity beyond that. We don't want to live in, dirt floors and everything like that just because Jesus did. Not that I know that, but anyways. Okay. The call to adventure of building a new and transformed human society by means of the spiritual rebirth of Jesus' brotherhood of the kingdom should thrill, and you could say domain too, because that even sounds old-fashioned, should thrill all who believe in him, as men and women, again old-fashioned, have not been stirred since the days when they walked about on earth as his companions in the flesh. I butchered that. Let me say that again. The call to adventure of building a new and transformed human society by means of the spiritual rebirth of Jesus' brotherhood of the kingdom should thrill all who believe in him, as men have not been stirred since the days when they walked about on earth as his companions. Okay, so she's saying you can have that same level of excitement about understanding, like a real breaking of the shackles, a real breathe a sigh of relief, and throw all those anxieties and worries off your shoulder, because we're going to continue on. We can be assured of that. All right, we'll stop it there for now. We'll pick this up in the next one. But thanks for checking the video. Like and subscribe. See you next time.